Right, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And I just want to quickly go into woolsey, which is mentioned in Leviticus 19 and 19. So it says, Ye shall keep my statutes, thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind, thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. Now, what this scripture is talking about is a garment that whereby they used linen and wool in the process of fabricating that garment. Meaning, when they were weaving that garment or that textile, they used linen for the warp, and wool for the weft. And I'm gonna show you exactly what that's talking about. But first, let me hit up these commentaries, because the Linsey textile was goes back to pagan traditions, and they believed that it gave them powers. Okay, and that's why the Lord forbade us to do that. Okay, because that's the kind of things that they were doing in Egypt and in Canaan. This is from the Matthew Henry commentary. It says, the sowing of mingled corn and the wearing of woolsey garments are forbidden, either as superstitious customs of the heathen, which that's all the point I want to read. It goes back to the superstitious customs of the heathen, the wearing of woolsey garments. Same thing, you go to the David Guzik. It said, since, well, he's going off here, but he says, since those pagan customs are no longer an issue in our day, we shouldn't worry about mixing wool and linen or other fabrics, which he's going off. But overall, he's showing you that the mixing of these different base materials in the weaving of garments was a pagan custom. Okay, and let's get the understanding. All right, Linsey woolsey is a coarse twill or plain woven fabric woven with a linen warp and a woolen weft. So what it's talking about is creating textiles where you're weaving two different base materials together. In this case, linen for the warp and wool for the weft. Similar fabrics woven with a cotton warp and a woolen weft in the colonial America were also called Linsey woolsey or wincey. The name derives from a combination of lin, which goes back to flax obviously, and wool, which goes back, from sheep's wool. This textile has been known since ancient times, known as shatn, as they say here in Hebrew, the Torah, and hence Jewish law explicitly forbid wearing it. So what I want to show you is the warp and the weft. Alright, the warp and the weft. This is in weaving. The weft, sometimes woof, is the thread or yarn which is drawn through, inserted over and under the lengthwise warp yarns that are held in tension on a frame or loom to create cloth. Warp is the lengthwise of longitudinal thread in a roll, while weft is the transverse thread. A single thread of the weft crossing the warp is called a pick. Okay, and you can go more into it. It says the weft is a thread of yarn usually made of spun fiber. The original fibers used were wool, flax, and cotton. Okay, so when we were making a sheet of garment in the ancient world, the weft and the yarn would either be all wool or all flax or all cotton or all silk. And then you use those textiles to obviously put your garments together, whatever you're making. You then take those textiles and make your garment. But in terms of the actual textiles that when you're making the textiles themselves, the textiles are supposed to be made pure. Okay? They're supposed to be woven pure, woven of pure wool, or woven of pure flax or linen, or woven of pure cotton. And those textiles will then make a basis of you making your garment, whatever you're doing, however you cutting and stitching and whatever the case may be. But in terms of weaving, the weaving of the garments is supposed to be made of pure fibers. Okay, and let me show you the illustration. So the warp and the weft are supposed to be of the same fiber, whether it be wool, whether it be linen, whether it be cotton, whether it be silk. That's how you make your base materials. That's how you make your textiles. Whereas the heathen, they used to take the wool and they used to take the linen and weave them together to make your Linsey woolsey. Okay, which is forbidden. And there's an image of your Linsey woolsey here. This is a Linsey woolsey, and they've used linen and wool together and woven it together to make a garment, which is going off. Alright, when you make your textiles, which you then use textiles to make your garments or whatever, the textiles are supposed to be fabricated. The warp and the weft are supposed to be of the same fiber. Okay, so you understand. So you know that's how it is. Then you might make a garment and stitch some leather in the elbows or whatever. That's different. That's a whole different thing. That's you making up your garment for whatever reason. But in terms of weaving, you ain't supposed to intermingle or mingle the two different forms to make a garment, to make that textile. Alright? So, yeah, that's the point on that, just to give some understanding of what the scripture was talking about when it mentioned the mingling of linen and wool. It's going back to how the textile was woven together, and it was woven using diverse fibers. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna say shalom.